Have you ever wondered why someone making $250,000 a year can still be one missed paycheck away from financial disaster, while someone earning $70,000 quietly builds $1 million net worth? At first, it sounds impossible. After all, isn't making more money supposed to solve your financial problems? That's what most of us grow up believing. Work harder, get promoted, earn a bigger paycheck, and eventually you'll become wealthy. But if that were actually true, then high-income earners would almost never go broke. Yet every year, we hear stories of professional athletes earning millions before filing for bankruptcy. Doctors with six-figure salaries struggle with debt. Tech workers making more money than they ever imagined still feel like they're living paycheck to paycheck. So what are they missing? The answer isn't hidden in some secret investment strategy. It isn't about picking the perfect stock. And it isn't because rich people know a secret the rest of us don't. It's because most people spend their entire lives focusing on how much money they make, while almost completely ignoring how money moves. And that movement is called cash flow. Now, before you think, that sounds like accounting, stay with me. We're not talking about complicated business reports or corporate finance. We're talking about something much simpler. In fact, once you understand this one idea, you'll start noticing it everywhere. You'll understand why some people seem to get richer almost automatically, while others feel like they're running faster every year but never getting ahead. You'll understand why getting a raise doesn't always improve your financial life. And you'll probably realize that some of the biggest money decisions you've ever made had nothing to do with how much you earned. Here's a simple thought experiment. Imagine two buckets. Every month, someone pours water into each bucket. That water represents income. Now imagine each bucket has holes drilled into the bottom. Those holes represent expenses. Here's the question. Which bucket fills up faster? The one receiving more water, or the one with fewer leaks? Most people immediately think, obviously, the one with more water. But that's only true if the leaks are the same size. Now picture this. Bucket A gets 10 gallons of water every minute, but it leaks 9.8 gallons. Bucket B only gets 7 gallons every minute, yet it leaks just 4 gallons. Which bucket fills up over time? Bucket B, even though it receives less water. Without realizing it, you've just understood one of the most important principles in personal finance. Because your paycheck is just the water coming in, your expenses determine how much stays. And what stays is what eventually becomes wealth. That's the part almost nobody teaches. We celebrate income. We compare salaries. We ask people what they do for a living. But almost nobody asks the question that actually predicts someone's financial future. How much of your income do you get to keep? Because that's the number that changes everything. Think about two friends. Alex earns $6,500 every month after taxes. Jordan earns $4,800. Who do you think is wealthier? You don't actually know. Not yet. Because income is only half the story. Let's look at what happens after payday. Alex has a luxury apartment, a brand new SUV, 2 credit card payments, student loans, a phone upgrade every other year, weekend trips, food delivery almost every night. By the end of the month, Alex has about $150 left. Now look at Jordan. Jordan rents a smaller apartment, drives a reliable used car that's already paid off, cooks most meals at home, keeps credit card balances at 0, and automatically invests money the day each paycheck arrives. By the end of the month, Jordan has $1,600 left. Now ask yourself a different question. If both people keep living this way for the next 10 years, who do you think will have more investment accounts? Who will have a larger emergency fund? Who will have more options if they lose their job? Who will sleep better during a recession? Suddenly, the higher salary doesn't look nearly as important because wealth isn't determined on payday. It's determined over the next 30 days. And that's the first mental shift you need to make. Stop asking, how much do I earn? Start asking, what happens to my money after I earn it? Because that's where every financial success story or financial disaster really begins. If you ask most people what they need to become wealthy, they'll probably give you the same answer. I just need to make more money. It sounds logical. And to be fair, earning more can improve your financial life. But here's the question very few people ever stop to ask. What if earning more money doesn't actually solve the problem? Imagine someone walks into your house every Friday and hands you an extra $500. Sounds amazing, right? Now imagine that every Saturday, without even thinking about it, you spend that same $500. Maybe it's a nicer apartment, a more expensive car, more nights out, more online shopping. Maybe it's just 100 little upgrades that slowly become your new normal. A year later, you're earning $26,000 more than before, but your bank account looks exactly the same. So where did all that money go? This has a name. It's called lifestyle inflation, and it's one of the biggest reasons high-income people often feel just as financially stressed as they did before they got a raise. Here's the tricky part. Lifestyle inflation almost never feels like a mistake. Nobody wakes up and says, I'm going to waste all of my raise. Instead, they tell themselves, I've worked hard. I deserve something nicer. And sometimes, they're right. There's nothing wrong with enjoying the money you've earned. The problem starts when every raise turns into a permanent monthly bill, because bills don't disappear when the excitement does. Imagine your monthly income increases by $1,500. Instead of investing most of it, you lease a luxury SUV for $650 a month. Move into a larger apartment that costs another $500. Increase your entertainment budget, upgrade your phone, add a few subscriptions. Within months, your entire raise has been absorbed. Your lifestyle improved. But your financial position didn't. It's like climbing a mountain while someone quietly adds rocks to your backpack every few hundred feet. You're getting stronger, but somehow the climb never feels any easier. Now compare that with someone who makes the exact same salary increase but chooses a different path. Instead of immediately upgrading their lifestyle, they increase their investments. They automate part of the raise into a Roth IRA. They contribute more to their 401k. They build a larger emergency fund. Maybe they invest in a diversified index fund every month. From the outside, their life doesn't change much, but something powerful is happening beneath the surface. Every month, they're buying tiny pieces of businesses around the world. Those businesses continue selling products, hiring employees, generating profits, and over long periods of time, many of them grow. That growth becomes the investor's growth. At first, the progress feels painfully slow. After the first year, they look at their investment account and think, that's it? But wealth rarely grows in straight lines. It grows in curves. Imagine planting an apple tree. Would you dig it up after 6 months because it hasn't produced enough fruit? Of course not. You understand that growth takes time. Investing works the same way. For years, it feels like nothing spectacular is happening. Then one day, you look back and realize the tree is producing fruit every season. That's why patience is one of the highest paid skills in investing. Now let's talk about the number that quietly predicts someone's financial future. Not their salary, not their job title, not the value of their house, their cash flow. Personal cash flow is incredibly simple. Take everything you earn during the month, subtract everything you spend. What's left is your cash flow. Positive means you're moving forward. Negative means you're moving backward. Let's make this visual. Meet Chris. Chris earns $5,500 each month. Monthly expenses total $5,300. Cash flow, positive $200. Now meet Taylor. Taylor earns only $4,600. Expenses total $3,200. Cash flow, positive $1,400. Who has more freedom? Who has more money available to invest? Who can survive a surprise medical bill? Who can take advantage of an opportunity? Taylor. Not because Taylor earns more, because Taylor keeps more. This is why income and wealth are not the same thing. Income is a snapshot. Cash flow is a movie. A snapshot tells you what happened on payday. The movie tells you what happens every day after. And that's the movie that determines your financial future. Here's another way to think about it. Imagine you're trying to fill a swimming pool. Every paycheck is another truck delivering water. Your expenses are the drain at the bottom. Most people spend their lives ordering bigger trucks. Very few spend time fixing the drain. But fixing the drain is often much easier than doubling the size of the truck. Sometimes, cutting just a few recurring expenses creates more financial progress than working dozens of extra hours. That's why wealthy people often obsess over recurring costs. Not because they're cheap, because they understand something most people overlook. A one-time purchase affects you once. A monthly payment affects you every single month. Let's say you finance a car that costs an extra $450 each month. That doesn't sound terrible until you realize that payment lasts for 6 years. That's over $32,000 leaving your cash flow before you even think about insurance, fuel, maintenance, or repairs. Now imagine investing that same amount consistently instead. The decision you make today doesn't just affect today's budget. It changes what your future money is capable of doing. This is where the real power of positive cash flow begins. Because positive cash flow doesn't just sit in your bank account. It gives every dollar a job. Some dollars build your emergency fund, some buy investments, some reduce expensive debt, some create new income streams. Every dollar gets assigned a mission. Negative cash flow does the exact opposite. Instead of your money working for you, you spend your time working to replace money that's already gone. And that's a cycle that's incredibly difficult to escape. So the obvious question becomes, if positive cash flow is so powerful, what should you actually do with it? The answer isn't as complicated as many people think. And once you understand it, you'll realize that almost every wealthy person, regardless of how they made their money, follows the same basic principle. They use today's cash flow to buy tomorrow's cash flow. And that's exactly what we'll explore next. Read that last sentence again, because it might be the most important idea in this entire video. Wealthy people use today's cash flow to buy tomorrow's cash flow. Think about that for a second. Most people use today's income to pay for today's lifestyle. Financially successful people try to use today's extra money to create more money in the future. It's a small shift in thinking, but it completely changes how you make financial decisions. Imagine you have an extra $1,000 at the end of every month. You have two choices. The first option is to spend it. Maybe you upgrade your car, buy the newest phone, or furnish your house with expensive furniture. None of those purchases are inherently bad. If they fit your budget and bring you joy, that's perfectly fine. But here's the reality. Most of those purchases will continue costing you money. The car needs insurance, fuel, maintenance, and repairs. The bigger house comes with higher utility bills and property taxes. The newest gadgets eventually become old gadgets. Now let's look at the second option. Instead of spending that $1,000, you invest it. Maybe you buy shares of a low-cost index fund. Maybe you start a small online business. Maybe you purchase equipment that helps you earn more as a freelancer. Maybe you save toward a rental property. Each of these choices is different. They come with different levels of risk, different returns, and different amounts of work, but they all have one thing in common. They have the potential to produce future income. That's what separates an income-producing asset from something that simply costs money to own. Notice I said potential. There are no guaranteed investments. A rental property can sit vacant. A business can lose customers. The stock market goes up and down. Digital products can stop selling. Every investment carries risk. That's why successful investors don't chase guarantees. They focus on making informed decisions, diversifying where appropriate, and giving good investments time to work. Let's look at a practical example. Imagine two neighbors, Ben and Lisa. Both receive a $10,000 bonus at work. Ben decides to spend almost all of it on a luxury vacation and home upgrades. A year later, the memories are still there, but the money is gone. Lisa enjoys a small vacation, but invests most of her bonus into a diversified portfolio. 5 years later, Ben has great stories to tell. Lisa has investments that may have grown in value and could continue growing for decades. Neither decision made Ben a bad person, and Lisa isn't better. They simply use the same money for different purposes. One bought experiences, the other bought future earning potential. Understanding that trade-off is one of the biggest mindset shifts in personal finance. Now here's something even more interesting. Eventually, if you keep buying income-producing assets, something starts to happen. Your investments begin contributing to your monthly cash flow. At first, it's barely noticeable. Maybe your investment account earns a few dollars in dividends. Maybe your side business makes an extra $200 this month. Maybe your savings account earns a little interest. It doesn't feel life-changing. But then it grows. The dividends become larger. The business gains more customers. Your investment portfolio gets bigger. One income stream becomes two become three. And slowly, your dependence on your paycheck begins to shrink. Think of it like building a team. Right now, maybe you're the only person earning money. Every dollar depends on you showing up to work. Now imagine hiring tiny employees, not real employees, financial employees. Every investment you own becomes another worker. One investment earns $20, another earns $50, another earns $100. None of them are impressive by themselves, but together, they begin sharing the workload. Eventually, instead of one person generating all your income, you have hundreds or even thousands of little financial workers helping you. That's one of the biggest differences between being paid for your time and owning productive assets. Your money begins working even while you're sleeping, traveling, or spending time with your family. That doesn't happen overnight. It usually takes years, sometimes decades. But every large investment portfolio started with a first contribution. Every successful business started with a first customer. Every rental portfolio started with a first property. Nobody skips the beginning. So how do you actually improve your cash flow starting today? The good news is that you don't need to completely change your life. You need to build a few simple habits. The first habit is awareness. Most people can tell you their salary within a few dollars. Far fewer can tell you exactly where last month's money went. Before you can improve your cash flow, you need to measure it. Write down your monthly income. Then list every recurring expense: housing, transportation, insurance, groceries, utilities, subscriptions, debt payments, entertainment, everything. You might be surprised by what you find. Many people discover they're not struggling because of one giant expense. They're struggling because of dozens of small decisions repeated every month. The second habit is protecting your gap. Remember the gap between income and expenses? That's your financial oxygen. Every time your income increases, try to protect part of that increase instead of spending all of it, even if it's just half. Future you will thank present you. The third habit is attacking high-interest debt. Credit cards charging 20% or more can quietly destroy positive cash flow. Every month you carry that balance, part of your future paycheck is already spoken for. Paying off expensive debt isn't exciting. It won't make headlines, but it's one of the highest return financial decisions many people can make because it immediately frees up future cash flow. The fourth habit is investing consistently. Notice I didn't say investing perfectly. Nobody consistently buys at the exact bottom or sells at the exact top. What matters more for most long-term investors is consistency. Small investments made month after month often outperform big investments made only occasionally because they build discipline and take advantage of time in the market. And finally, remember that your goal isn't just to earn more, it's to own more. Own investments, own productive assets, own businesses, own things that have the potential to create value and generate future income. That's how cash flow slowly shifts from something created only by your job to something supported by your assets. Now let's go back to the question we started with. Why can someone earning $250,000 still struggle financially, while someone earning $70,000 quietly becomes wealthy? Because income starts the journey. Cash flow determines whether the journey continues. A high paycheck can disappear in a matter of weeks. Positive cash flow, invested wisely over many years, can continue creating opportunities long after that paycheck has been spent. So the next time you get paid, don't just ask yourself, how much did I make? Ask a better question. How much of this paycheck is going to build my future? Because your paycheck determines how much money comes in. Your habits determine how much stays. And your cash flow determines whether your money keeps working long after you finished earning it. That's the difference between earning a living and building lasting wealth. If this content was valuable, I'd appreciate if you subscribe to this channel for more such videos, share it, and drop a comment below. Thanks for watching.